Indiana in the Morning, presented by First Commonwealth Bank on the Voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160. It's time now for an interview segment presented by Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Joining us on the phone this morning is Homer Center High School Principal Jody Rainey for the school's monthly visit to Indiana in the Morning. Jody, how you doing today?
I'm good, Josh. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Let's start with, I guess we can start with the big story that has been reported throughout the morning here on your hometown stations. Of course, the shooting that happened at Robb Elementary in Texas. Now, I know that it happened at an elementary school, but it's got to make you think, as an administrator on the high school side, it's got to make you think a little bit about how to approach the subject if it does come up in the schools. So have you been seeing or hearing anything about that? Maybe some kids in the school bringing it up? And how's the district ready to approach that topic?
Well, I think that there's a lot of questions in there, and that's a lot of layers, Josh. So to answer it first is, I think that, the first thing is it's obviously a tragedy, and our hearts go out to them. And it's an opportunity for us to learn and to improve some of the practices that we already have at Homer Center. So we don't ever want to get to the point where we are not being diligent, and it's unfortunate that the people in Texas had to experience that, but it's an opportunity for us to strengthen our programs and learn from those experiences. So, one of the things, I'm actually sitting in my office right now with Dan Sacco, our safety and security consultant. I'm actually was just meeting with Superintendent Leitzel, and I am, I wear a lot of hats, as most people know, but one of my jobs is I am the safety and security coordinator for the district. So, Dan Sacco and I had a conversation this morning about, what type of services would we have for kids who may be in need, parents who have questions on how to speak to their children about such tragedies. And so those systems are in place. We have not experienced any questions to date from any parents, nothing from any of our students to date. But we also are in the midst of state testing still for our Keystone algebra exams. So there's a lot of other things that are occupying our students right now as well. I think also that we look at it from this perspective, Josh, is, we have a very strong security team, we believe, here that does a lot with safety and security. So just to have those conversations, make them a little bit more, we're a little bit more on alert today, and being more diligent. And also that this conversations about how we can do better in our preventive practices. One of the things that we talk about, we have two officers that overlap certain parts of the day, but we also at times have one officer for both buildings. So that's one thing that we've been discussing prior to Texas with our board, and we'll continue to advocate to try to get an officer in each building all day, every day during instructional hours. And, so there's lessons to be learned and things like that. But so far, we haven't experienced any adverse reactions emotionally for many of our students yet this morning.
Well, that's a good thing, and it's a good thing to know that those services are available for the students, and the fact that security is being talked about. So I imagine whether there is a tragedy or not, security has got to be revisited probably on a recurring basis. I don't think it's a conversation that really ends.
Well, I think Dan Sacco and I talk all the time, and Danny's here, so he'll correct me if I'm wrong. But there's prevention, then there is basically response. In other words, if something happens, there's a response, and then there's after action or, recovery is what we call it. And so, you always want to be on the preventative side as much as you can be. And so I think that, it was interesting as I was watching some of the news reports last night when I first learned of what happened in Texas, some of the things that they were mentioning in the media, just are things that I can feel pretty good about that we talked about, we've been talking about. So this is like, we don't want to be reactionary, and I guess we want to be reactionary, but we don't want to overreact, and we don't want to use this as a reason to say, like, people to think like, oh, they're overreacting, because no, these are things that we've talked about. And, unfortunately, in tragedy with somebody else, there's lessons that we can learn to do more to make sure that the odds of this happening in Homer Center in our area are reduced. And that's what we'll do with it.
Let's talk about a cheerier subject, actually. I don't know if it would be cheerier to the students, but you mentioned it, PSSA testing going on. That's got to mean the school year is just about over for Homer Center. This year, though, I think it sounds like it's been a pretty good year, though, for the student body at Homer Center.
It's been a great year, Josh. We're taking Keystones. There's PSSAs like grades 3 through 8. So the Keystone exams, they're the after course exams. They call them kicker exams. So, like, students that had Algebra 1, students in biology and English literature take the exams. We've done all of them, but today and tomorrow are our last 2 days for Keystone Algebra. So we can finally put testing to rest, hopefully. And I do have to give a shout-out real quick to Kristen Kirchie. Not only is she our guidance counselor, she's our district testing coordinator. Kristen's been full-bore in testing since the last 2 weeks of April up until tomorrow, and she just does a phenomenal job. She doesn't get nearly the recognition she deserves for everything that she does for the district in that regard and more. But, yeah, it's coming to a close, and we've had a great year, and we had baccalaureate service on Sunday for our seniors. And we have they have their trip. They have a trip tomorrow. Is one of their senior class trips. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to graduate the class of 2022 here next Thursday at 7 o'clock in the auditorium. So a lot of exciting things going on, and a lot of things to reflect back on and be thankful for, and I think the thing we're most thankful for is we're getting to the point, through the pandemic that we're able to be in person, we're able to socialize and interact with one another. And at Homer Center, I truly believe the relationships are the most important thing that make our school go. And just that reestablishment of those relationships with our students and teachers and the school and our community, it's a great thing. You don't really realize what you have until it's taken from you. And so to reestablish those and be able to do some of the things to celebrate our students that we've had to adapt and adjust a little bit the last couple of years. It's just nice to have somewhat normal and be able to reconnect our community, our school, and our staff with our teachers. Our students. With
one eye to the past, you also have to be looking ahead to the next school year, which is going to be starting up in late August, early September. Is there anything coming down the pike that people might want to be interested in over the summer that maybe as part of the prep for next school year?
There's always stuff coming on. I would encourage people. We've really spent a lot of time trying to get our community portal, Sapphire Community Portal, which most of our parents would be familiar with. And we communicate a lot with our students in the high school through email, and also our website has been much, much more improved over the year. And so, those types of things, just to stay in tune with our, those types of things. And but there's nothing different than, I guess, any normal summer that's planned. But I think that every year is an opportunity to kind of look at things that we can improve. Needs, and things of that nature. And so those things will always be communicated to our community, so everybody's informed.
Jody Rainey, thank you very much for joining us this morning here on Indiana in the Morning to talk about the goings-on over at Homer Center. We wish all the students best of luck with their tests, and to the seniors, congratulations to them. And thanks again to you for joining us, and we'll be talking with you further down the road as summer goes along.
Thanks, Josh, and also thank you to you and the team at Renda for just giving us this opportunity to highlight our students and our school and the positive things that are happening, so I just, thank you for everything you guys do to help us communicate and to highlight our students and the great things they're doing.
Our pleasure. Thanks again, Jody.
All right, have a good day, Josh.
You too. Jody Rainey, principal of Homer Center High School, joining us this morning here on Indiana in the Morning, presented by Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. That's our interview sponsor, and the show, of course, presented by First Commonwealth Bank. First